Hello everyone, my name is Hanifa Nachiriowa and I am the founder of the Center for Rehabilitation of Survivors of Acid and Burns Violence, which is a non-government organization headquartered in Uganda. We have a chapter here in the United States of America, Seresav USA, and we are launching a chapter in the United Kingdom, Seresav UK, so I hope to be in the United Kingdom sometime in the fall or what you would call autumn. So, what is it, Seresav? So Seresav was launched in 2012 after I survived an acid attack way back in 2011. Why did I start Seresav? What we do is we started Seresav to provide life-saving medical support to women and children and also some men who have survived acid attacks and are battling for their lives in the hospital. We also provide psychosocial support and community integration through different activities, counseling, motivation, encouragement, and also economic empowerment to help survivors get back into the community. We also provide and facilitate reconstructive surgeries, both locally in Uganda for survivors to get their faces and bodies reconstructed to give them ability to do usual work that they can be able to do. We also do facilitate advanced surgical care through partnerships abroad. We have partnerships in the United States of America here, where we bring survivors from Uganda and they can get pro bono reconstructive surgeries here in America. We also have a partnership in India, and we are trying to establish a partnership in the United Kingdom. We do address homelessness because we have so many survivors who end up homeless, and you find them on the streets of Kampala, the capital city of Uganda. So what Seresav does currently, we have a capital campaign where we are raising funds to construct the rehabilitation center that can be like a transitional and emergency home for survivors that are getting off the street and out of homelessness to help them establish permanent housing. And then we do provide education support through the Seresav Education Fund to support survivors to support the children of acid attack survivors have quality education. So majority of people don't know, but in Uganda we don't really have public education or free education for all. For your child to have quality education, it is dependent on how much you're willing or you can afford to pay for the education your child gets. How much you can pay will determine the quality of education that your child can have access to. So what Seresav does through the Education Fund is ensure that the children of the survivors have access to quality education to address poverty and child abuse. And then we do advocacy and public education. Through advocacy, we advocate for an end to acid attack violence in Uganda, both locally and internationally. How do we do that? We do that because our mission is zero tolerance to acid attack violence against women and children in Uganda. Although our services stretch beyond women and children, when we get male cases, we also incorporate them as survivors because acid attack is acid attack, regardless of gender, regardless of economic background, regardless of religious affiliation. So we are a non-government, non-partisan, non-religious organization that supports all, regardless of your background. We support you as long as you're an acid and burns violence survivor. So here are some of the photos that show the different services we provide. As you can see, here are the survivors who lead the advocacy campaign. We do this every year during the 16 days of activism. We gather survivors together throughout the 16 days to speak against acid attack violence by sharing stories and calling to action different stakeholders to join the campaign. Here is one of the survivors here in the United States. She's receiving reconstructive surgeries through our partner here in the United States, and we are trying to establish partnerships in different countries. As you can see in this photo here, this is actually Sharita. You can see Sharita. This was way back in 2016. One thing I love about Sharita is she does this every year. Each time she leaves the UK to come to Uganda. Since I was attacked in 2011, I met Sharita in 2011, virtually like this, but once she was able to come to Uganda, we met in person in 2012, and the first thing she asked me is, Hanifa, what can we do as the empowered survivors? And I told her, we can pass it on by empowering other survivors, provide psychosocial support. So during those conversations, it led to the birth of Seresav. Sharita would come every year. Every year she comes to Uganda, and each year she came to Uganda while I was still in Uganda. We would go to the hospital to provide psychosocial support. We would do home visits. She would bring suitcases and suitcases of supplies, clothes, shoes to distribute to different survivors. She would bring money where we would buy items that are required for basic survival and basic use, daily basic use, like sugar, soap, Vaseline, oils, vitamins. She would bring all those supplies so that we can distribute them among survivors in the hospital and in the community. She has done this every year faithfully, as you can see here. This was last year. Last year, when we had the 16 Days of Activism campaign, Sharita was part of that. She was distributing, giving the motivation speech, as she always does, and distributing certificates of participation and accomplishment to different survivors that attended the conference. Here are survivors on media. We go to radios and TVs and we do the advocacy and public awareness education, by amplifying and showcasing survivors on the front lines of advocacy, and that is what we do. So through that work, we are trying to empower the survivors, rebuild, rehabilitate them, and reintegrate them back into the community. This is one of the survivors. We have provided life-saving medical support. Then we provided the surgical care she needed so that she can easily move her neck. And then after that, we supported the economic sustainability program for her so that she can have her own business. She's running her own business, as you can see, and through the education fund, we support her child's education so that she can focus on building her business and be able to take care of herself and her family. So why we do this? We want to end the cycle of poverty through empowering survivors and the education fund. As you can see, we support the education of survivors of children to end the cycle of poverty and prevent child abuse, child marriages, child trafficking, child labor trafficking, and all that stuff. Our ultimate goal is to empower the survivors of acid attack violence in Uganda, rebuild their lives and restore dignity. And then we do the education, giving survivors' children a decent education to stop the cycle of poverty, violence, and exploitation. So what is it for this specific UK Iftar fundraiser? I am super proud of Shannon and everybody that is supporting and standing behind Shannon to make this a reality for the survivors in Uganda to know that people around the world care. I do these fundraisers all the time here in the United States of America. For me to see Shannon and all her friends gather together to say we want to support survivors of acid attack violence in Uganda is huge, is beyond humbling for me. It made me emotional when Shannon was sharing this, and I asked, how can I support this? That's why she asked me to do a presentation. I thought I could be on Zoom with you guys so I can interact with you so we can chat. I'm still hoping that we can join via WhatsApp and I can see all of you via WhatsApp video. But I thought I would record this presentation for you all to show my support, to show my appreciation. So this, I'm showing how we do this. Seresav always does this through different avenues, different platforms, different events. We come up to support survivors in different ways, and we also do reach out, do community outreaches. As you can see, here is Sharita. Last year, she was in Uganda. giving out certificates of accomplishment and certificates that acknowledge survivors' resilience. She was here empowering them, supporting them, motivating them, inspiring them, and then recognizing them. Here are survivors receiving their Christmas hampers, as you can see that. Here are supplies, clothes, shoes that survivors get to receive and partake from people around the world who say, okay, we want to support survivors in different ways. You can support in different ways. Here, what does your support do? If you do this fundraiser, what is that money going to do? You might be asking, right? Different things. We do emotional support. In the hospital, I talked about life-saving medical support and psychosocial support and reconstructive surgeries. How do we do that? We travel to the hospitals. As you can see here is one of the survivors who is doing psychosocial support coordination in the hospital. Here is a patient in the hospital. This is our executive director, Sharifa. She does those hospital visits to offer moral support, to offer psychosocial support. Sometimes I'm always on Zoom when she does this. Like during this visit, I was on Zoom and they were asking me all sorts of questions and I'm telling them, yes, it's a process, but you can overcome that. Those funds that we raise, we are able to travel to the hospital and go support and provide medical supplies and provide them, buy the medications that may not be available in the hospital. One thing many people may not know is we don't have a national health service system in Uganda. We pay out of pocket. So for someone to get quality care, they have to pay out of pocket. But most survivors cannot really afford to take care of their medical expenses and get quality medical care. That is where CERESAV comes in. Through the support that we get from such fundraisers, we are able to provide that. Through the support that we get through such fundraisers, we are able to help survivors and support them to enjoy special celebrations like Easter, like Christmas, like Eid, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr after Ramadan, so that they can also celebrate like any other person, regardless of what they are dealing with. They know that somebody else cares enough to give them a decent celebration of these special days. So for every special day, there is something special that we are doing for the survivors of acid attack violence and their children, including even having the children enjoy some fun. You see this face painting and stuff like this was at one of the events that CERESAV was holding in partnership with other community stakeholders to give children of acid attack survivors an opportunity to be children and enjoy like any other child. One may wonder, so how do we collect these fundraisers? CERESAV makes sure that we have transparency and accountability in how we distribute those funds. We do not take cash. You might gather all your money, but we don't handle cash. We have an account and we do receive online donations. So for whatever fundraising funds that you're going to gather tonight, be rest assured that we are not handling cash. We have a bank account in Uganda through DFCU, and I have put all the details here, as you can see this. Those ones who are compelled to donate online, you can donate online and these funds go straight to Uganda. We don't handle cash. We don't deal with cash in our hands. We don't deal, whatever you're going to gather, whatever you're going to donate will go straight to the CERESAV bank account, because we want to be accountable for every single penny that we bring into the organization. For any updates, we make sure that we update our social media in ways that people can follow everything. We are as transparent as we can be. We post on CERESAV Facebook page, so please make sure that you follow us for real-time updates on Facebook. Look up CERESAV on Instagram, look up CERESAV US on Twitter or X, look up CERESAV and follow us and like us on Twitter and also on LinkedIn. We make sure that we update our social media handles effectively for those ones who have donated and support our work to be updated. And we do have a newsletter, so when you go on our website, ceresav.org, that is CERESAV.org, you please take a moment to sign up for our newsletter so that you can receive updates from our executive director in Uganda. So thank you so much. I thought that I was going to do this in live, virtually interacting with you guys, and I had left this slide for us to have questions. But since technology has got in the way, we have bypassed technology. This is so wonderful. I am so excited for you tonight. I am praying for success. I am praying for you all to have fun while doing good cause, because Swadakatul Jaria is one of the three obligations of humanity. One is having a righteous child, having a knowledgeable child, and then doing charity that is going to supersede you after here. What is it in terms of legacy? What legacy are you building today? What legacy are you going to be remembered for? What are you going to be remembered for? You impact one's life today. It's going to go on from generation to generation. You donate £25 today. It's going to impact someone's life for the rest of their lives. They are going to remember that. If that 25 or 40 or 50 pounds is used to contribute towards someone's education fund, or give someone a befitting Eid celebration, or impact someone who is experiencing homelessness, or someone who is stuck in the hospital while people are out there celebrating, special days, and someone receives a special package, for them to know that someone remembered and thought about them, to have a befitting celebration. That is a legacy. Someone will never forget that. So I am super excited for you. I look forward to engaging with you on social media. Please let me know whenever you want to have this kind of interaction. I'm always available. Thank you and have fun.